I think this is the first time I've ever preached on the 31st of December. So you couldn't really, unless we had an evening service, it's about as late into the end of the year as we can get. So, I don't know, it's a bit of a time of reflection. I mean, that theme's come up already, hasn't it? I mean, what have we achieved? What have I achieved this year? Well, there's one particular thing that every single person in this room, apart from the very, very, very youngest person, has achieved this year. And this video clip will just give you a clue as to what that is. Can you see that okay? That's the sun in the middle, in case it's not clear. Yes, since this time last year, you have all travelled all the way around the sun. Well done. Give yourself a pat on the back. That's pretty impressive. I don't suppose anybody knows how far that is to the nearest 100 million miles, do they? You know how far it is? 600 million miles, give or take a little bit. And you did all of that without even realising, well, being conscious of it. So do you ever get that feeling you're just going around in circles? Well, you are. Literally, well, ellipses if you want to be pedantic, but you're going round and round and round. And not only that, as you perhaps saw from the animation, the Earth is spinning on its own axis. So you're not just going round in circles. Well, you're going round in circles, effectively. Can any of the children tell me how long it takes for the Earth to go all the way around in one circle? Yes, shout out. Go ahead. Shout. It takes a whole year to go around the sun, but how long does it take for the Earth to spin on its... Yes, go ahead. Say again. No, it's much shorter. How long? Anybody? Yes, go ahead. 1 day. That's a day, isn't it? 24 hours. So being in Huddersfield, that's about 19,200 miles in 24 hours, which makes it 800 miles per hour. Impressive, eh? You're travelling at 800 miles an hour, whizzing around in circles, while at the same time you're travelling 600 million miles around the sun. Shall we all just lie down and have a rest? It just goes on and on and on. We keep going round in circles, circles that have no beginning and no end. It basically just goes on infinitely, as far as we experience it anyway. In that connection, I have some pictures for you. I'd like you to tell me what word connects these four pictures. This is the first one. Anybody mathematical might know what that is. Yeah, wait until you've seen them all. There's another one. There's another. This will be the giveaway, this one. Any of the children know what that is? Go ahead, go on. Yes, and what's on Thanos' glove? Stones. Yeah, what stones specifically? Go ahead. Infinity stones. The infinity stones. Don't you all know about the infinity stones? Oh my goodness. And the top symbol looks like a letter number 8 having a rest. What does that mean? It means infinity. Yeah, well done. It's what mathematicians use. And then the other two are Celtic designs. One is, I've got it written down here somewhere. Oh, I haven't written it down. Yes, I have. A Trinity knot. So it's supposed to symbolize the Holy Trinity, but if you look, it's one continuous line. And the other one is called you see, I'm not very clued up on my Celtic knots. It's a Celtic love knot. It's kind of a heart and an inverted heart. Can you see that? But if you trace it round, it's one continuous line. So part of the idea is it was to symbolize a never-ending love. They're all connected by the word infinity. Now, the Bible doesn't talk about infinity as such, although it is something we might associate with God. Maybe he's infinitely big. Maybe he's existed for an infinite amount of time with no beginning and no end. But there are some Bible verses that kind of talk on this theme. And the first one I'm going to look at is Psalm 90, verse 2. Oh, I forgot that slide, didn't I? That wasn't very clever. Sorry, that was my slide that linked all the others about infinity. Okay, thank you. Yes, here we go. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. And then this next verse, which we're very familiar with at Christmas in particular, from Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Wonderful, eh? We know that people are not infinite. Certainly not infinitely big, no matter how much Christmas pudding you had. And we have a beginning, a time when we started to exist, whether from conception and birth. But what about an ending? The Bible does talk about eternal life or everlasting life. And Christians have this idea that they will, although they will one day die, that they will live forever. Probably the most famous verse in the Bible. If somebody said to you, what's the most famous verse in the Bible, what would you think it would be? Shout it out. John 3:16. John 3:16. It's on this very theme. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. It's there. It's there that we should have eternal life. But I ask the question, what does that actually mean? What is this eternal life? Well, I racked my brains to try and find a way of describing it to you, and then I found a really good video, and I thought, I'll just show you the video instead. So sit back, get comfortable. Sorry I didn't warn you about bringing popcorn. It's about 5 minutes long, this video. So if we can have the lights down, and I'll be back in a minute.
If you know very much about the story of the Bible, you've probably heard that Jesus offers eternal life. Sounds nice, but what does Jesus mean by eternal life?
Well, Jesus adopted this phrase from the Hebrew scriptures. In English, it's translated eternal life or sometimes everlasting life. But the phrase literally translated from Hebrew is life unto the age.
Life unto the age. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a dense phrase. And to understand it, we need to first talk about what an age is in the Bible.
Let's do it.
So the Hebrew word for age is olam, and it refers to a period of time.
What length of time?
Well, any length of time, actually. And it can be in the past or in the future. What matters is that it's a period of time with some common attribute that remains constant.
So, for example?
So, like the time of Abraham and his descendants all the way up to Moses. The common attribute is it's the time of Moses' ancestors. And so Moses can say, remember the days of the age, the years of past generations and elders.
Okay.
Or an age can be shorter and in the future. Like Samuel, who's going to spend his whole life serving in the temple. During his dedication, his mother Hannah calls this an age.
So an age is a period of time that has a unique and constant characteristic.
Exactly.
And there can be all sorts of different ages, depending on what you want to focus on.
You got it. And so someone could live in two ages at the same time, if those ages happen to overlap.
All right, so back to the phrase, life unto the age. What age is this talking about?
Okay, so in the beginning of the biblical story, humans are made from the dust of the ground. This is a common biblical image for creatures that are mortal. That is, they live in an age where they could die. But God takes humanity and places them in a sacred garden where they're invited to experience a new and deeper kind of life.
By eating from the tree of life.
Yeah, we're told it offers them life unto the age, a life of infinite potential because it connects them to God's own divine life.
But the story takes a turn. And instead of accepting life unto the age, they eat of the tree of knowing good and bad.
Right. Taking from this tree means seizing life for themselves on their own terms, apart from God's wisdom.
And so they're exiled from life unto the age, and they go into the age of death. They mistreat each other, they do what's right in their own eyes. Things get really violent.
Exactly. And so the whole rest of the story of the Bible can be thought of as a choice between two different ages. The age of life on our own terms that leads to death, or the age of God's own life.
And while humanity has rejected God's life, God promises he'll open the way back.
Exactly. And it's that promise that ultimately leads the story to Jesus. He's presented as God's own life become human, so that both ages overlap in him. He lives in the age of mortality and death and in the age of eternal life at the same time.
And so he can offer people access to life unto the age.
Right. It's like what Jesus says in the Gospel of John. This is eternal life, that they may know you, the one true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent.
Yet, just like humanity rejected God's life in the garden, Jesus was rejected and put to death.
But God's life is more powerful than death. And so Jesus rises from the dead, and he can offer God's life to others. Like the Gospel of John also says,
Whoever trusts in him will not perish, but has eternal life.
That is, life unto the age.
Cool. Now, most people think of eternal life as something that happens after you die. But in the Bible, access to this age is something I can have right now.
Yeah, remember, Jesus was the place where the age of God's life meets the age of death. And that means that when people trust him, they can experience eternal life here and now.
But we also still live in the age of death. So what happens when I die?
Well, just like death couldn't overpower God's eternal life in Jesus, similarly, we can remain alive to God even if we're physically dead. In the Bible, this is called being with Christ. And it's not talked about very much because it's not how the overall biblical story ends. The focus of the Bible is about when the age of life completely overcomes the age of death. And those who are with Christ are recreated to share in God's eternal life.
A world where the age of death no longer has any power.
Exactly. Because life that is fully connected to God's own eternal life and love is a life that will never end.
See, that was a lot clearer than I could have explained. That's a Bible Project video. So if you're interested in watching it again, if you just go to Bible Project and put Eternal Life, that comes up. I've watched that loads of times now because I'm just enjoying it so much, the way that it explains what eternal life is. So I'll ask the question again, what is this eternal life? Well, there are two things for me. And for the first thing, I need to show you a picture of a mystery object. So here's the picture of a mystery object. Can you see that okay? And my question is, especially for the children, what is that? So if we just hit the next slide, is it a table tennis bat, a pizza pan, a mirror, or a fan? What do you reckon? Yes, here. Shout out. What do you think? A fan? A pizza pan? Yeah, boys? Pizza pan?
Shovel. Table tennis bat.
Pardon? Shovel. Table tennis bat? A shovel? It's definitely not a shovel. Yeah, go ahead. Well, I'll show you what it is. Well, kind of show you what it is. I haven't actually got one of those exactly. Just a moment. This is what I have, which belongs to... This is what I have, which belongs to my friend Penny. Thank you, Penny. Did you know it was yours? Did you recognise it? Talked to my wife, she had it. And I've polished the bottom of it, best I can. It's a mirror. That is a mirror. Do any of the children want to see if they can actually see their face in it? Quick, come on. If you want to see if you can see your face in it. You'll have to get very close. Can you see yourself?
Yeah.
You can?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Can you see yourself in there? Is it a really good picture? You have to look very close.
Almost.
Yeah, what you see, 2,000 years ago, this is what the mirrors were made of. Not pans with handles. This is, I think this is brass. Okay. So they used polished metal because they didn't have glass with shiny backings and so on. So the answer was C. It was a mirror. And if we look at this next Bible verse, knowing what their mirrors were like, this verse will now make more sense to you probably. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Think that mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. What a wonderful promise, that even though our understanding of, well, many of the things of God, but particularly of what eternity is like, trying to figure it out is like looking into that mirror. And yet a day will come when you can see as clearly as you can see me and we can see each other right now. So, the Bible gives us a few clues as to what this eternal life might look like. We don't know in detail, but one thing I'm fairly sure about, it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. So the video made it clear it's not just, eternal life isn't just about something that will happen in the future, but it's about now as well. Eternal life is about the type of life that we can lead and life as God intended it. We have a Bible verse here, John 17. Verse 3. Now this is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. It was a verse that was actually in the video itself. It's not just about knowing, it's not just knowing about Jesus. It's knowing him. It's having a relationship with him. Present tense, that they may know you. Know you now, not just know you in the future. So the key to this eternal life is the person of Jesus. If I have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, I have eternal life here and now. God doesn't want us to wait until we die to experience eternal life. He wants us to experience it here and now, albeit imperfectly. Remember, it said in the film, Jesus lived both in the age of mortality and death and in the age of eternal life at the same time. And we too can experience that. Jesus makes it possible. So to go back to the Bible verse we had earlier, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. If you don't yet have your own personal relationship with Jesus, we would love to tell you more about it. We'd love to tell you about him and help you to learn to follow him. When we finish the meeting, if you'd like to come forward, there'll be some folk down here you can talk with. They're very happy to explain more, and if you like, to pray with you as well. Being a follower of Christ is a lifelong journey. It's not just for today, but you could make a start today. What a wonderful way to start 2024. If, as I suspect most of you are already on this journey, then my appeal to you is to decide to prioritize that relationship over and above every other, to prioritize your walk with Christ in 2024. It's the best New Year's resolution you could ever make. So I want to wish you all the best for 2024, and obviously enjoy the rest of 2023, what's left of it. By this time next year, you will have traveled another 600 million miles through space. I know. Makes you feel tired before you've even started, doesn't it? But I have some good news. 200 million miles of those, you'll probably travel when you're asleep. So even when you're asleep, you're still doing it. Okay, have a lovely new year. Thank you.